Hey, how's it going? Today we're gonna go over styles really fast. I want to go over drawing styles and kind of like how they differ in some ways that you want to find your own. I think this is something that's asked a lot, and I kind of want to go over my thoughts on it. So, as far as drawing style goes, and we're kind of looking at a couple of different ones here, right? We're looking at this cartoony style. We could make this even more cartoony, right? So if you go over here maybe and you draw maybe something with slightly different proportions. I've noticed, I was going to say, with regarding art styles and drawing styles, one of the biggest indicators that one of the biggest indicators with style is okay, right off the bat, really quick, when we're talking about style is again the icing on the cake. It's pretty much what's on top of it. It's the cool stuff on top. If you don't understand like the basics of drawing, like structure and form and maybe a dash of anatomy, if you don't understand that stuff, style is probably not going to be a big deal. It's probably not going to be moot because style is outside of outside of the proportions and stuff like that. Style, a lot of it comes from these additional details on the top. So, for example, if my line weight, if my line weight is different, if I'm drawing much thicker lines, that's going to change the look and feel of whatever I'm doing, right? So if the look and feel changes, I don't know why I'm like way over there. Let's go over here. So if the look and feel, let me move the camera a little bit here. Okay, over here. So if I'm drawing like incredibly thick lines all over the place, and I mean everything has like a big thick line ending like that with very little to no detail, like no surface detail, no what do you call it, scales or any obvious little textures, something small or tertiary, it's going to look a little bit more simplistic. And that simplistic style is going to be more for, animation, for, like tends to attract younger viewers and stuff like that. Not always, obviously. And I don't mean exclusively younger viewers, but the point is, these little decisions that make up style tend to be surface details like line weight. They tend to be, we're not dealing with color right now, but they tend to be line weight. They tend to be curvature of lines, not just the line weight itself, but same thing with the curvature. So if you have like maybe like in a cartoon, you would draw a little bit more of a S curve. S curve is very, very prevalent throughout like line art, right? So if we were to draw like an eyeball, maybe over here on this side, let's zoom in over here real quick. So if we were to draw something like an eyeball, if we're trying to get very, very realistic, we would throw a lot of angles, like realistic stylized. You would throw a lot of angles, right? Then you would throw little tertiary lines and details around here. Maybe not all the lines touch, but if you were to take that eye, right, and maybe, do the highlight, all the highlights everywhere, right? But then maybe and throw on a little bit of those lines of the iris. That's like leaning toward a realistic stylized. And on the flip side, if you go over like a cartoon kind of thing, maybe you have, again, more of those S curves, more of this curve right here. A lot of it, maybe some information missing. You might not even have the lines connect. Like in anime, they don't really have the lines connect sometimes, right, on the lower lid. It's totally like that style. But all those decisions, right, all those decisions that you're talking about with style, they start with understanding the parts of the eye. So, for example, right, so let's just say you're, about the eyelid, right? And that the eyelid has a thickness to it. And that the eye inside there is actually like a ball shape inside the orbital bone, right? You are understanding all that stuff first in order to know what to let go of first. I don't know if that makes any sense. Hopefully it does. You have to understand the rules to break them, right? That's a very common phrase that people throw around. And it's true because without it, you won't really know what you're drawing, right? You know, you can draw this little swoop here, but you don't know that that's, the swoop of, the like what part of the eyelid is, or kind of how it wraps around the eyeball. You won't really know that. But when you look at people who draw like in a very animated style, whether it be like, comics or anime, I mean, like look at an anime nose, right? An anime nose is just like sometimes like this, right? It's like a check mark, right? And the reason they know how to do that is because they know they get rid of everything but the essentials, and they get you to understand that, because like a realistic nose is everything, right? The ball of the nose, the nostril, the wing of the nostril, all of that, right? They don't need to do all that. They just kind of go check mark, boom, right? And the viewer will fill it in. They'll know, right? Like they'll know the difference between that. So the one thing is, if you're trying to find your own art style, I would say the biggest thing is you have to obviously keep going with the basics. But personally, you're always going to have different influences that influence you artistically. You're always going to have that. So if you have that, I mean, this is going to sound like a cop out of an answer, but your own art style is naturally going to come about, right? I used to draw way more like, fine art style. Everything was ultra, ultra, ultra shaded with pencil. Um, you know what I mean? It was a little, things were a little bit more rounder and organic. And then I started really getting into this stylized look, kind of more like this, and kind of like, you want to say like comic booky or video gamey. And I'm like, I have my influences from that realm, right? And then when those influences come in, they start to affect your drawing, whether it be consciously or subconsciously. You're just like, you know what? I'm just drawing my line's a little thicker here. I'm putting like a thicker line toward the bottom now, or I'm drawing these baby lines, right? Or I'm throwing a lot of, here's a big one. You're throwing in a lot of big lines with your cross hatching. That's a style, right? How you shade something is totally a style, right? You could shade it completely like this, like just make it a solid color, right? Or you could throw like right here, you could throw some little like, those line marks you see and cross hatching. You could throw those out there, and then that gives it a totally different feel. It depends on it's like you're kind of guiding the vibe with your style, and your style also reflects your personal likings and dislikings. So that's what I mean. Like you're gonna gravitate in one direction with your style, if that makes sense. And it's all on top of whatever you knew, the basics. So yeah, that would be kind of the main thing to think about. Where's your favorite Godzilla? My favorite Godzilla is Shin Godzilla. That's my favorite. I love it. I love it so much. It reminds me of like like a Titan from Attack on Titan as a you know as Godzilla. I just really like it a lot. But yeah, do you prefer digital? You know what? I go back and forth a lot. I definitely, when I sketch to myself for fun, I definitely prefer traditional if I'm just sketching for myself. But I'm trying to get used to more like digital stuff. There's always kind of that sort of thing. But yeah, let's get back to style real quick. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense. This, by the way, you can also take, when you know enough, you can take something and change the style of it. So right now okay, maybe I want to draw a little bit more of the larger scales over here. Also, go check out the link in the bio, by the way. I have a free Godzilla, how to draw a Godzilla head. Go take a look at that, if you guys are interested. Basically, I go over Legendary Godzilla, but I want to put up a little program to show the other ones. All right. So you're putting this, how much dark you put, all of that stuff is relevant, like all of it, right? As far as like, so okay, I was gonna say, if you want to like have an equivocator, is that how you use that word? For style, it would be feel. Like, what feel do you want to it? Do you want it to feel scary? Do you want it to feel like you can show it to your kids or something? You know what I mean? Do you want to show it like what feel do you want? And like who's looking at this, right? Is it mostly like people like, 30-year-olds, like anywhere from 18 to 30? They're probably going to prefer that stylized, Marvel, I don't know, just comic book style. Um, but yeah, it really depends, honestly. And that stuff's going to emerge over time. But yeah, let me see. I think that's kind of it for me. I was just gonna come on for a tiny bit and talk a little bit about style and finding your own style. But yeah, if you have any other questions, leave them in the comments, by the way, and I'll answer them in another video. I will totally answer them in another video. But yeah, that's kind of it. I'm gonna sign off. I'll see you guys probably maybe later today because Christmas is coming up, and I want to do a couple of these so that one comes up during Christmas on the YouTube channel. So, all right, I'll link all that stuff, and I'll talk to you later.